students, welcome to Byju's. Welcome to yet another weekly current affairs session that we are conducting. Those who are attending the session for the first time, the idea of weekly current affairs sessions is that whatever current affairs has been important in the past 1 week, which would have been like a little bit important from the prelims point of view, from the mains point of view, we take it together and we discuss it in detail, thereby equipping you to answer any question that will come from either a prelims point of view or from a mains point of view. I am Sneha Ramesh and I would be guiding you through this session. Before we go into the session, I'm seeing a lot of you who have joined and I'm seeing all your emotions, the emoticons that you're sending. All good. So first of all, before we actually go into the session, I have few instructions for you. Again, we are on this new platform, which is your Byju's exam prep app, which is there. I know for some of us, the change might be a little bit jittery, you're feeling like, okay, what is this new thing? But I can assure you one thing, that this is one of those apps that has all the things put together in one single place. You don't have to go about searching for each of these things in different places. On the app, it is like a one-stop solution. Okay, now if you are very new to the app, what you have to do is you can log into the app using your mobile number, the mobile number with which you have registered at Byju's, or at times you can log in through the Google ID also. Once you have logged in, you will come across a screen which is basically having different exams which is there. Obviously, we are preparing for the IAS exam, so we click on that. Again, inside that, we have two options, which is IAS as single, and then we have something called as your IAS Hindi. Okay, so based on your requirement, you click on whatever course that you need. Once you click on that icon, you will come to the page where, based on the program that you have enrolled for example, if you have enrolled for the tablet learning program, you will come across a screen which is like this first one. You will see a screen, you will have a home page over here or a home sign over there. You will have the test series over here, you will have practice, and any session that you want to attend, you can go to the home page over there. All the sessions available for you, the classes available for you will be listed over there. If you are part of the online classroom program which is there, in that case, you will have another sign over here called as My Classroom, where you will have your live classes put together. Now, the idea of the app is very simple. All your study material, unit test, webinars, all the tablet videos which are there, it is all in one point. As a student, it's very time saving and very efficient. So I hope you all have started exploring the app. How many of you have explored the app in detail and are finding it quite like, okay, this is a good option for us? How many of you feel that way? What your responses which are there? How many of you feel this way? You can let me know at this point. Okay, so I do feel you have, I can see your responses over here. Now, as we move further, we are going into the topics for the day. Now, when I'm saying the topics for the day, you can see the amount of, for example, every weekly current affairs session that I've taken, I've made it a point that I'll bring forth some very interesting topics that will hold your attention from a aspirant's point of view. For example, look over here, you have something called as the Bail Law, the cooking oil price crash which is there, the green technology impact on marine biodiversity, G20 meeting which has happened recently, and the GI tag for the red weaver and chutney. The last topic is very unique and very interesting. Now, coming into the other factors, at this point I just want to ask if everything is clear. Is my audio and video and everything very visible to all of you? Can you please respond to that if it is all right? Perfect. Yes, okay. Now, because I was not seeing enough responses from you, that is why I had asked the question. Now, the bail law, again, from a polity point of view, that is especially your GS2 point of view, this is extremely important. The cooking oil price crash. any Indian family that has a cooking tradition where you are using oil, especially the edible oils, will be very elated to know about this news. And from a UPSC aspirant's point of view also, this becomes important from a GS3 point of view. Okay. Then you have green technologies impact on marine biodiversity. Now again, you might think this is like any other environment topic, but this has a twist in it. Now I won't tell you what the twist is. We will discuss what the twist is when we discuss this topic. Then coming to the G20, the reason why I picked G20 was in the last session that I took about BRICS, okay, I had several queries asking about what is G20, what is G7, can you please tell us what G20 is? And very coincidentally, there was a G20 meeting also happening. So it happened to be in the current affairs, and that is why today you all can be enlightened about what G20 is also. The last topic is very, very unique. So when we discuss this, you will have more, you will find how interesting it is at this point. So I'm not going to reveal much about that at this point. Coming to the first topic that we have to discuss, the bail law. Okay. Now coming into the bail law, how many of you have heard about this term bail? Most of us who would have watched movies, be it in any language, have these court scene movies which are there, you would have heard the term bail. But we would not have bothered understanding what exactly is the meaning of the term bail. Okay. So very recently, the news is there in our newspapers and everything because there is certain issue with the procedure of bail in our country. Now, I know a lot of you will be like, what is bail in the first place? We will get into it. Just be patient about it. Okay. The first thing that has happened is the Supreme Court has said to the central law, you please make a proper law for the bail procedure. Okay, for whatever is there for the bail procedure, please make a proper law was suggested by the Supreme Court to the central government. Now, to understand this news, what do we have to know first? We have to know what bail is. Okay, let's put this into context. Bail is basically an instrument. Okay, what kind of instrument? A judicial instrument. Judicial instrument means what? The one that is given by the judiciary. To whom is it given? To any person who is convicted of an offense or who is accused in an offense. Anybody can take or can appeal for a bail. Why do you need a bail? The idea is bail is the conditional release of a defendant with the promise to appear in court when required. For example, there is a murder case. Okay, a very important murder case has happened. There is a person who after the entire investigation, the police feels this person is the culprit. There is one person X is the culprit. Now the thing is, it is not proven in the court of law that this person is convicted. The police have just said that, okay, based on our investigation, we feel this person is the convict. Now imagine this. What will you do to this person until the case is getting, there will be the court, there will be, there's a lot of debate happening on it. His lawyer and the opposite side lawyer will be talking about it. There will be a lot of discussion. All the while, can you put this person in jail? Because he has not been proven. Only when the court says, okay, you committed murder and you deserve this punishment, it is right to put him in jail. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise, it is basically that something that we are crossing on is human rights, which is there. What if at the end of this entire procedure, this person is not the one who committed, or the court is saying that, no, there is no enough evidence to prove that you did this, so we are going to release you. In that case, all the while, for example, especially in the case of Indian judiciary, if the case is going on for some 8 to 9 years, will you put that person in jail for so long? No, that is not possible. So, you have something called as bail, meaning when you are accused in a certain crime and the case is going on, you can ask for a conditional release from it. From what? They will not put you in jail. They will say, okay, you can go back to your home, but whenever we call you, you should be here. And conditions can be various. For example, if it's a very serious offense, then if the bail is given, they'll be like, you cannot even leave your district, which is there. In some conditions, they will be like, you cannot travel to outside countries. Many conditions can be given, but the idea is the person will be released. It is a conditional release of a defendant with the promise to appear in court when required. Sometimes the term also means that the security that is deposited in order to secure the release of the accused. You must have seen, no, in some cases, what happens is the court will say, okay, we will give you bail provided you put a security deposit of 5 lakhs. Meaning, if that person is somehow crossing the conditions of the bail, like maybe he's traveling outside or he's going and trying to, there might be cases where, commonly you see what happens is, if someone has been accused of a crime and they come out on bail, they will try to go and meet the witness of the crime and they'll try to threaten them or something. In most of the cases, when the bail is given by the court will say, you cannot interact with anyone involved in the case. Okay, now what if this person is doing this? Then that security deposit will also go. So ideally the bail is releasing of a defendant with certain conditions. The conditions can be about travel, the conditions can be about the money or the security deposit which is there, or the conditions can be varied, like you cannot interact with the witness and so on. Is this part clear to all of you? Because you have to understand what bail is to understand the rest of it, right? Okay. Yes, I am seeing a lot of defendant. Again, people have asked, what is a defendant? Defendant means until a crime has been accused on you and it has not been said by the court that you are the one who has done it, you are termed as the defendant. You are trying to defend your right to be outside, your right to freedom and everything. You are trying to defend yourself from being put into jail. This is from where the term defendant has come. But once the crime has been fully said, like, okay, you have committed this thing, then you will be a convicted person. You will have been convicted of that crime. You will be in jail. Okay. Okay. So now when it happens like this, the next thing that you have to understand is there is not just one or two, there are almost 3 different types of bail which is there. There is regular bail, there is interim bail, and there is an anticipatory bail. Okay. Now, in the case of a regular bail, what is going to happen is, there is a case, the police has submitted the FIR, the court has taken the case up, okay, and you have been presented in the court also. Once you have presented in the court, you appeal to the court, okay, please grant me bail until this thing is there. So courts, they will be like, okay, fine, bail is granted. This is the idea of a regular bail. Okay, now the next type of bail which is going to be there is an interim bail. Okay, now in the interim bail, what happens is, see, before the court gives out a bail decision, no, they cannot just randomly say, okay, fine, we are giving you bail. In that case, a lot of very dangerous criminals also can be outside itself, right? So the court has to check every other condition. So at times what is going to happen is, maybe before a full regular bail is given, you can, or before the court gives like, okay, you have a regular bail with so much and so conditions, before that is given, you can apply for a bail, and that will be for a short period of time. If it's a regular bail, it can vary from the time till the time where, for example, the person who's the defendant person is actually said, okay, you have committed that crime. Till the court says that you have committed a crime, this regular bail can keep on going. But only if you get the regular bail, this will keep on going. Instead, if the court has no time to hear a regular bail application, they might just hear an interim bail. And interim bail is valid. Interim means what? In the middle, okay, or a small. I'm giving you an interim between 2 classes. Means it's between 2 classes. I'm giving you some kind of a relief. Okay. So the interim bail basically means that before the court is giving a regular bail to a defendant, they will give a smaller bail which might be of lesser time period, maybe a 1 month interim bail. After that, the court will take his regular bail application and take a decision on it. Okay, so there is an interim bail, there is a regular bail, then there is another kind of bail called as anticipatory bail. This again, you would have seen it in certain movies. What happens is, if you feel, okay, there is a case against you, okay, now you feel that very soon you are going to get arrested, okay, very soon police is going to come from you, you have your own information, you have understood all this. Before even the arrest happens, you apply to the court saying that please give me an anticipatory bail. Anticipate means what? I'm expecting an arrest, so you please give me a bail for that arrest that I'm expecting. Now that is given only in very severe cases. For example, if someone is accused of some what you say, a very severe corruption case, or a very severe maybe murder case or something like that, in that cases what they will surely know, okay, this investigation is going to come against me. So what happens? They will go for an anticipatory bail. Most of the times what the court does is, the court will see, okay, if this person is outside, is it going to be too detrimental to the case? If it's too detrimental to the case, detrimental means harmful for the case, then they will not grant the anticipatory bail. Okay, so the idea is basically you have your regular bail, interim bail, and the anticipatory bail. Time and again in the Indian judiciary, every other person who might be accused of a crime, who's arrested for a crime, they can utilize these services. Okay, in fact, your right to bail, okay, or right to be, or the idea that, okay, when you have a crime against you, that you should be given bail for certain offenses which is there, can be said as a right, but that is not a full-fledged right. For example, if you committed a crime against a child or against a woman, it's a very, very serious offense which is there, in that case the court can say that no, 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 we are not giving you bail also. Okay, but in most cases you have a right to be granted bail. So we will be exploring in what cases you will not be granted bail also, but what you have to understand is, generally this is a right of any person. Why is this given as a right? Because I have not yet been proven guilty by the court. If I'm proven guilty by the court only, I can be subjected to all this arrest and all these cruel treatments which is there. Until then, I am like any other normal citizen, so I can exercise my right to bail. Now comes the twist of this current affair. We are going on talking about bail, no? We talked about regular bail, interim bail, anticipatory bail. But unfortunately, in Indian law system which is there, which is your CRPC, which is your Criminal Procedure Code, your IPC which is there, or your constitution, any of the law systems which are there isn't any separate law that defines bail. This definition that I gave to you is something that is normally given by certain, for example, if you take the UK system or the USA system, the idea that is given is a general definition. The Indian judiciary or the Indian law system has not defined bail. Now, this is where the problem arises. When you have not defined bail, you have also not defined what are the necessary conditions a person can be correctly given bail, or you should be, as a matter of right, this person has to be given bail. It is not defined anywhere. Now, let me ask you this. If I have not defined bail, if I have not given the proper conditions for it, don't you think any other person can either apply for bail, or any other court can reject a bail also, saying that, this is our discretion? And that is the problem of the bail system in India. And this is what the Supreme Court wants to change. Is the context clear to all of you? Perfect, perfect, perfect. I can see a lot of you are clear on this. See, I know this is a hardcore polity topic which is there. So I need you to be very sharp at this point, okay? Because all this bail and all, it might seem like a little bit of a law thing, but then it's very important to understand how in our judiciary some provisions are not even defined. This is basically something, for example, one of you tomorrow, someone is saying, your neighbor is saying, this person has done some, he has come and he's trespassed into our property, and they're going and giving a complaint to the police station. The police station is coming and checking out for you, and you, after one night that you wake up, you are becoming like an accused person in some crime. So as a matter of right, you should be having some amount of justice given to you, right? And that is where the position of bail comes in. Now coming into the point over here, you have certain offenses called as bailable offenses and non-bailable offenses. As I told you, not all offenses will be granted a bail. Okay. Now, what are the procedures which define this? For example, here, section 436 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 says that a person accused of a bailable offense under IPC can be granted bail if. Now, you see, we don't have to go and check, okay, for what case there is a bail given, for what case there is not a bail given. That is the work of a lawyer. Excuse me. That is the work of a lawyer which is there. So we don't have to go that much in detail when it comes to UPSC preparation. All you have to know is there are bailable offenses and there are non-bailable offenses which are there. And in the case of bailable offenses, you can be granted a bail if there is sufficient reason to believe that the accused has not committed the offense. How will the court understand that? Okay. The court will understand that when, for example, the police is submitting the FIR and everything. In the court, they are starting discussions about it. And in the first instance itself, one of the things that your lawyer is presenting is that on the day that the crime happened, you are not there. You are not at the scene of the crime. You are maybe some kilometers away, very far away in some other place. Everybody has seen that other movie, right? Which is, I think, of Drishyam, and it's like you're saying that, no, I was not here, I was in some other place. I forget the the Hindi translation of it. But then, if you are going on to say, I am not there, prima facie means in the first impression itself, the court gets justified that maybe this person is not the one who has committed the crime. Okay. But the police believes you have committed the crime. So the court will be like, okay, fine. See, until we prove it in a proper manner, let this person go out on bail. Okay. So sufficient reason to believe that the accused has not committed the offense. Sufficient reason to conduct a further inquiry in the matter. The court is feeling that not only has the police not done their inquiry in a proper manner, and they have accused you in a wrong manner, which is there. In that case also, the court can be saying that you can take a bail, can be at home, let there be further inquiry in the case. Okay. Third thing, the person is not accused of any offense punishable with death, life imprisonment, or imprisonment up to 10 years. If you are punishing, or if you have any of these offenses, for example, murdering 4-5 people of a family is likely to give you kind of a death penalty. In that case, they will not give you very easily bail. Okay. The idea is, if the person is not accused of any offense punishable with death, life imprisonment, or imprisonment up to 10 years. Meaning, for if it is a less serious offense, if it's a serious offense, it will be all these things. Understand? All these are serious offenses when it comes, if the person is going to be punished by death, if the person is going to be punished by life imprisonment or imprisonment up to 10 years. In all these cases, then you can give, or the court will easily grant the bail. Then comes another set of things. And if you are accused of a bailable offense, then bail is a right for you. What is the idea? For example, you are the earlier case that I told you, your neighbor has some issue with you. Based on that, they filed a complaint against you. It's this normal this thing, the border between two houses, that kind of an argument which is there. In that case, it is a bailable offense. If it is a bailable offense, then you can tell to the court, see, a bail is my right and you please grant it. But if you are accused of a non-bailable offense, non-bailable means the kind of offense for which you will not get a bail, then you cannot go to the court and say, bail is my right, please give me my bail. That is not possible. Why? Because you have been accused of a non-bailable offense. In that case, and the non-bailable offenses are all listed under section 437 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Both are related to Code of Criminal Procedure itself. 436 for bailable offense, 437 for non-bailable offense. If you are accused of a non-bailable offense, then the court has no need to give you that bail which is there. The court can give you a bail if it is seeing that it is a very exceptional circumstance. What is an exceptional circumstance? Either the person accused is a woman or a child, the person accused is in a very sick manner, he or she is gravely sick. In any exceptional case, and that too, that is the discretion of the court. You cannot say, I am sick, I am a woman, please grant me bail. That is not going to happen because you've been accused of a non-bailable offense. Clear? So in India, you have to understand offenses are also classified as bailable and non-bailable, and based on that only you can exercise your right for the bail. Is this part clear till this position which is here? Yes. Now coming into the point which you have to understand, the basic issues with the bail procedure. Now I'm going to tell you something which will be very shocking for a lot of you. See, ideally, the idea of the law is that the law, especially the courts, have told even beforehand, arresting some person and putting them in jail should be used only in exceptional scenarios. Exceptional scenarios means just when the police is feeling, okay, they might have committed a crime, you cannot go and arrest a person. That is a human right violation. Even before, the courts have clearly mentioned arresting a person should be used only as a measure of a last resort. Last resort means if the police is feeling, okay, if we don't arrest him or her at this point, they're going to leave the place or they're going to escape. In that case, you go and arrest them. If they are a very serious or a very dangerous criminal, in that case, you arrest them. But it shouldn't be that even for small things, the first thing you do is go and arrest a person. That is not right. Why? The court has itself said before that arresting someone is not the norm, that should be the exception. At the same time, the court has also said you have to grant bail to any person who's, the necessary conditions, if it is satisfied, you don't have to inquire a lot into it, you please grant the bail. But in India, what has happened is, arrest is a draconian measure that needs to be used sparingly, but arrest keeps on happening. Now, adding to this, what has happened is, in India, because of this scenario, if you look at the Indian jails which are there, the majority of the people who are lodged in Indian jails are under trial people. Who are under trials? Under trials are people who have been accused of a crime. It's not proven yet. The court case is going on happening. The police has arrested them and have put them into jail. These people might not have had the enough money or anything to go and apply for a bail, and because they couldn't apply for a bail or their bail got cancelled or anything, they have been in jail for years. And I'm telling you, it's not 1 or 2 years we are talking about. There are under trials in Indian prisons who have been in jail for almost 12 to 15 years. Because their case has not yet been solved, the case is going on happening, they have been there in the jails. And imagine after 12 to 15 years, what if it's proven that they have not committed the crime? 12 to 15 years of a human life is being spent in a jail. This is a very, very serious human rights issue. That is the angle that you have to think over here. It is a human rights issue which is there. And why is this happening? Why is this issue happening? The issue is happening because the police are very much more interested in arresting a person and putting them into jail, and they do not even look okay at the fact that do they have enough conditions, do they have enough finances to apply for a bail at least. In these cases, when they cannot apply for the bail, and our judiciary, we have a lot of services which give free judicial services and all that, but a lot of people are still not aware about it. So what happens? They remain in jail. So almost 2/3 of the people lodged in Indian jails are under trials. And what is the issue of this? The first issue is a human rights issue. You also do realize Indian jails are one of the most congested, overcrowded jails that you can find. Why? Because most of them are under trials over here. Even the prisoners who are actually, their crime has been proven, they are there. They are lodged in very, very, what I can say, in a very inhuman conditions, because you have so much people put in together at the jails. So on all the levels, this is a human rights issue. Then coming into the next thing, the default approach of investigating officers and judicial magistrates to arrest the accused. Now, it has been said even in the past, the court has said the default approach of an investigating officer shouldn't be to go and arrest a person or a judicial magistrate. Who's a judicial magistrate? He or she is the person. Once a person has been arrested, it is applied, or that he is presented in front of the judicial magistrate. Okay, so it is up to the judicial magistrate to say, okay, please release him, or you give him a bail. It is up to their condition. But what happens is, most of the times the judicial magistrate is also like, okay, fine, you put them in jail. Okay, bail, ideally, it shouldn't be something that we go and ask for, because it is a right of a citizen. Even before we ask for it, it has to be given to us. But our Indian legal system is being designed in such a manner whereby which only if you apply for a bail, you will get it. Okay, and that is also not always sure. If you apply for a bail, even then, if the judicial magistrate is feeling like no need, you can be in jail, which happens in most of the cases, because we have this attitude that we have been following from the colonial times. What was happening in the colonial times? Do you think the British was like, okay, let's grant bail to the freedom fighters, let's put them out, let's give human right conditions for them? No. British, at the every chance that they got, either arrested the people or they put them in jail. They didn't even give them a proper hearing situation where they could tell, okay, we have not done this, or we are not accused of the same crime which is there. We are still carrying forward that tradition which is there, whereby which we feel arrest is the best thing. Let them go and be in jail so that they are not a threat to society. But what is happening? It is not proven that they are a threat to society. That is the problem over here. Last thing, most of the times when you have a case, you do not go to the Supreme Court first. Okay, you will be going to the lower courts, your district courts which are there. Then after the district courts, you will go to a high court, and then you might be going to the Supreme Court, and so on. But what has happened is, whenever you go to the lower courts have this tendency to reject the bail of most of the people. Why? Because they feel that because of them taking a decision, this criminal or this accused person shouldn't be outside. So what happens is, they are very ordinarily reluctant when it comes to the grant of bail. And why is all this happening? Why is there so much of discretion when it comes to the judiciary in granting the bail? Ideally, if there was some law which said that, okay, a person is having this much condition, you grant him a bail. If this person is as a matter of right, if it is in this age group, you grant them a bail. If there is a very comprehensive law, do you think there will be so much of discretion? How many of you think the need of the hour in this situation is a proper law? How many of you think that way? Reluctant means they are not very ready to give. That is the idea of reluctant. Yes, a lot of you. All those who are thinking yes are the people who, when you get into service also, will understand the needs from the person side. Some of us do think, they are prisoners or they are someone accused. But you can call someone and you can put them in jail and you can treat them in that manner only when you can say that, okay, they have been proven of the crime. Now coming into over here, these are all the issues in the bail procedure. Now, to solve the issues in the bail procedure, in the past also, Supreme Court has tried many times to give certain judgments. Okay. One judgment which was very important was given in the Pankaj Jain versus Union of India case 2018, where they said that, and hear me out very clearly, most of us will be very shocked to understand this. The Delhi High Court had held in 2004 judgment that in the ordinary course, the police should always avoid arresting the accused whenever possible. Can you believe this is what our judgment has said? You shouldn't go directly and arrest the person. You have to give them that right to apply for a bail, to see what is happening. You have to give them that human right. This is what was said earlier in the Delhi High Court judgment of 2004, and in the Pankaj Jain versus Union of India case, the Supreme Court said, yes, we also agree with this provision, whereby the police should always avoid arresting the accused whenever possible. This is the first thing. Now, very recently, in another case, which is your Satyendra Kumar Antil versus Central Bureau of Investigation case, which is there in 2021, what happened is, at that point again, Supreme Court said, you cannot keep on arresting people indiscriminately like this. Indiscriminately means just at the time that they are accused, you cannot go and arrest them and put them into jail. You have to wait till they apply for the bail, and all these procedures have done. So the Supreme Court said that. What happened is, again, very recently, in the last 1 week, the Supreme Court took this judgment again, which is your Satyendra Kumar Antil versus CBI judgment. They took again and they added some points into it. What are the points they added into it? The points that they added into it, they gave clear guidelines to the central government. They said, they asked the center, first thing they said is, you please bring a new law to simplify and streamline the process of bail. If I am a person, I should know what kind of bail I can apply for. See, tomorrow if some crime is accused on me, what happens in India, and this is a very, I would say a funny scenario which is there. For example, there is murder. I have committed murder on one person. Another person has also committed murder on one person. We both go to the same court. Okay. Both of us are of the same gender, same age group, everything is same. I get a bail, the other person doesn't get a bail. And nobody knows why that other person hasn't got a bail. Because the court is not going to tell you, okay, we didn't give you the bail because of these and these conditions. The court will say, we have not granted you the bail. Now, isn't this very puzzling? How will you as a citizen be assured of the fact that if I am going to the court, I will get a bail? You will not be assured, because the same court is giving different judgments like this. So now the Supreme Court has said, you please give a bail law which is simple, easy to understand, and it will streamline the process of bail. Streamline means what? For the same kind of offense, every court in India should be having the same procedure of bail. It's not that in Kerala for murder, the Kerala High Court will give bail, and then when I go to Tamil Nadu, they will not give bail. That is not possible. So if you have a proper law, we can ensure that this is happening uniformly throughout the country. This is the first thing that the Supreme Court said. The second thing that the Supreme Court said is that whenever there is a bail application given, it has to be disposed of within 2 weeks. What is disposed of? Meaning the court has to take a decision on it within 2 weeks. Sometimes bail application will be there. Bail application will itself go for 7-8 months. All the time bail application is being considered, the person will be in jail. Now the point is that cannot be allowed. You have to dispose of. Now all this the Supreme Court has said to the central government. See, you please do all this. Now, when the central government makes a law only, this will be all put into place. Until then, we can always put this forward as the suggestions given by the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court has said that whenever there is a bail application, you please take a decision on it within 2 weeks. Next thing is, the court has directed the high courts to identify under trials who are unable to comply with bail conditions and take action to facilitate their release. What is this bail condition? Sometimes what is happening? Sometimes as I told you, they are going to tell like, okay, you please put a security deposit for 50,000 rupees. How will a poor person who cannot even maybe afford a proper lawyer put a security deposit of 50,000 or maybe such a huge amount? So now the court has said, you please identify, they have asked the courts, the Supreme Court has asked the high courts, you please identify who are the under trials who are still in jail because they do not have the necessary conditions or they could not satisfy the conditions for the bail, and we will look into it. So this is the next condition which was mentioned. Then they have also said the court has called on to the central government to consider framing a special legislation on the lines of the law in United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, see, now imagine this is a very ironical thing. British ruled us. They went from India and they made very nice law for themselves for bail and all that. We are still continuing with the British tradition. There they have a bail law system whereby which bail is granted as a right. As I told you earlier, when a person comes in front of the court itself, even without I am applying for the bail, they will grant me the bail. Why? Because they will look into it is the responsibility of the court in UK. In India, it is my responsibility to prove that, okay, please grant me a bail. Understand? So the Supreme Court has said, you please take inspiration from that UK law and try creating a law that is very suited for the modern times. And finally, magistrates must routinely consider granting bail without insisting on a separate bail application. This again, the court has said from its side that whenever a magistrate is being faced or an accused person is coming in front of a magistrate, you please ensure that even if he is not asking, okay, I need a bail, you see if he has necessary conditions for a bail. In some cases, you know what happens? There might be someone who's accused of a crime. Okay. Throughout the investigation, this person would have been very cooperative with the investigation. Okay. Whenever the police has called, they have come on time. They have given all the evidences. They have been very, very disciplined with respect to their appearances. Then what happens? All of a sudden, the police will come and arrest them and go. The court has said in all these cases, you shouldn't do that. Why? Because this person has a previous, you have accused them, but in all the investigation that has happened, that person has been very cooperative. Then why are you showing this brute force on that person and arresting him and going? So in those cases, in cases where there are several conditions there, like a person is sick, the crime is of a very less serious nature, in all these conditions, the court has said you shouldn't be insisting on a separate bail application. If you feel the necessary conditions are satisfied, you please grant the bail. So these are the Supreme Court guidelines that have been given recently. Now, is this topic clear to all of you? So what? Let's see. Okay. Now, coming to this point, let me just summarize. I think some of you even joined late, right? So what I said was, in India, we have something called as bail procedure, which is a legal instrument whereby which I can get a conditional release if I'm serving certain conditions. Then I went on to discuss about the bailable and non-bailable offense. Then we talked about the defects of the bail process in India, which is there. And then we came into the current issue or the current affair which is there, whereby the Supreme Court said, no, this bail law is not working well. We need to reform the bail system which is there. And that is what we just discussed. So I hope this is all clear to all of you. Now we have to move on to question. Poll time. Poll time is here. Okay. So let's read the question once. With reference to the bail law in India, recently in the news, consider the following statements. At present, the Indian legal system doesn't have any separate law for bail. The Criminal Procedure Code deals only with the bailable offence, while the Indian Penal Code deals only with the non-bailable offence. Read the statement properly. Which of the statements given above is or correct is what they are asking. Okay, so I will launch the poll right now. Just give me a moment. Okay, you can start marking your answers. Remember, we have the leaderboard and also be careful and mark your answers. Okay, let's see. 73% of you have marked the right answer, which is A. What is the issue over here? At present, the Indian legal system does not have any separate law for bail. Separate law means which defines bail in a clear manner. This is something that we discussed in the first itself. The Indian legal system does not define bail anywhere. That is why there is so much of discretion. No. Next thing is what? The Criminal Procedure Code deals with only bailable offence, while the Indian Procedure Code or the Indian Penal Code, which is there, deals with only with the non-bailable offence. Both bailable and non-bailable are dealt with your Criminal Procedure Code itself. It is not dealt or it is not given by two different codes which are there. Now you guys must be thinking, the irony of the fact is that we have not defined bail. Bail is what? How you can get hold of this, how you can get a release. But all the other things have been mentioned. What are the bailable offense? What is a non-bailable offense? All this is mentioned. So don't get confused over there. The idea is bail is not defined in the Indian legal system. There is no separate law. The entire current affairs surrounded on the fact that the Supreme Court has asked the center, please make a law for the bail procedure. Clear? So now I hope this is clear to all of you. Yes, a lot of you have said, okay, you have touched the wrong option and you've got it. About the leaderboard thing, I will show it to you after 2 or 3 questions, because initially what happens is, if I keep showing it, I have a feeling you guys keep distracted with it. Keep getting distracted with it. Okay, so I don't want any such kind of distractions here. Now coming into the mains question, but first let me ask, how many of you wrote mains questions that was there in the last session? Let's see a show of hands over here. I'm seeing Afreen has said, Anashwara, yes, okay. Seeing, where are the rest of the hands? On that day when I asked how many of you will write the answers, I saw almost 100, 150 of you raise your hands. Where are your answers? Okay, some of them have said they have written. Now again, you have to keep writing, guys. Otherwise, trust me, your preparation will not be streamlined in the right manner. You will face a lot of difficulties in the later stages of your preparation. I'm telling this from my experience of seeing a lot of students over the time. So again, consider it like that. Now, coming into this thing, when you write answers also, understand that whatever marks you're getting right now, be it good or bad, always there is a scope of improvement. If you're already getting good marks, then it means that you can enrich on it, because we never know. See, when it comes to UPSC, what kind of answers that they're expecting, we have to train ourselves for that level of expertise. Otherwise, if you're writing, your marks are coming on the lower side, you have to keep writing. Coming into the mains question right now, in the light of the recent Supreme Court judgment on bail law, enumerate the steps taken by the judiciary in order to reform the Indian bail jurisprudence. Big words have come about. Now, even without you understanding the meaning of the word jurisprudence, which is there, you can understand the fact they are just asking, there is something regarding, or there are issues with the bail law which is there. Bail law in the sense the bail procedure which is there. Primary issue being there is no proper law itself defining bail. Okay. So the first issue is that then you also have to enumerate the steps. Enumerate means what? List down the several steps that the Supreme Court has suggested to the central government to reform the Indian bail system which is there. So jurisprudence and all, if you are seeing, also understand it just means Indian bail system which is there. Understand it in that simple sense and write the answer. Okay, now coming into the next part which is there, cooking oil price crash. Okay, in most of our homes we would have seen in the last few months the oil that we have been buying, or for example, if it is a household where you are constantly using maybe your palm oil or some other kind of oil which is there for your frying and all that, making samosas and all that, maybe in the last few months there would have been mothers saying, you please don't get that oil anymore, it's getting very pricey. But as a good news, what has happened is this price has now come down. Now you must be thinking, why are we even bothered about this? The entire issue comes, though it might be just an issue of a cooking oil, this is related to a lot of your international happenings that is there. And that is where it is important. Okay, let's start discussing this which is here. First thing, the context is, or the current affair is, the price of palm oil. What is palm oil? It is this kind of tree which is there. From that tree you have all these, it looks like a coconut tree, but then you have a different kind of fruit from it. From that oil is extracted. The price of palm oil is down by 43% from March. So if you compare March prices and the current July prices which is there, the price has reduced by almost 43%. And in the June time and all, it was at its peak. Now it is seen that this is actually easing the global food inflation. Now we have to understand what is this global food inflation also. We also have to understand how did the price, okay, we understood price is going up. Now price is coming down also. What is this miracle behind it? Is what we have to discuss. And why, let me just ask you, why is cooking oil so important? See, we have our own mustard oil which is there, this coconut oil which is there, our own kinds of oils are there. But then why is cooking oil so important? And why is the fact that we are so concerned about the price going up and down? The fact is, over the time, our consumption patterns, consumption means the way we are trying to take the goods, for example, be it the fast food or the fried goods that we are eating, is all dependent on this cooking oil rather than the locally sourced oils which are there. Okay, now it's because of this itself, it becomes important that the price of it is contained. The next issue is, even if we are cultivating that cooking oil in our country, we wouldn't have such a big issue. India happens to be one of the largest importers of cooking oil, and this is a problem. Why is this a problem, guys? Why is the problem that if we are importing cooking oil, what is the issue with it? It should be fine, right? We are getting the cooking oil from outside, everything should be good. But then why are we having an issue with this? Let's see. How many of you can find an issue with this problem or this thing? Exactly. There are a lot of you. So let's see how many of you you have import bill. Varsha, Akshit, a lot of you have mentioned something. What the idea is basically, what, when we are importing something, we are paying money to them, no? Now, if we are so dependent on cooking oil and the cooking oil price is so high, so much so that we are like, we need cooking oil, we are going on importing it again and again from outside, what happens? We have to pay a lot of money as, what you say, payment for this cooking oil. when we pay the money for their, what is going to happen? The money that we need for our development or other activities is getting reduced. So this is the issue. If the price is going up, we need to pay more money. If the price is coming down, it is a good thing. Understand? Now we have to first understand, see, as I told you, in the case of the cooking oil, the price shot up very high and now it is reducing. Why did the price shoot up in the first place? The price shot up. Initially we might be thinking it's the Russia-Ukraine war and all. I saw a lot of you who have said Russia-Ukraine war. Yes, Russia-Ukraine war has something to do with it. But the first problem happened at the time of COVID. You remember when COVID had hit the entire world, all the trade routes which was happening, every other country closed down their trade routes. They were like, we are closing out our borders, we are not exporting our goods, we are not importing our goods, none of this is happening. Right? You remember that scenario? Oh, now it is all like a thing of the past, but that time even the essential goods were, in some countries it was not available. Why? Because there was an issue with export and import. How many of you remember this time where all the trade routes had been closed at the time of COVID? None of you guys remember. It's like I'm talking about something that happened 50 years ago. I'm talking about something that happened 2 years ago, guys. Yes. There are a lot of people who have now got the memory of the old times that we all were suffering. Now, when COVID started happening and the trade routes closed, so what happened? India, which is dependent on a lot of cooking oil which is there, even the import to India was affected. So it started from there. After a point when the COVID started easing out, we opened our trade. But then what happened? Then Russia-Ukraine war happened. And why is Russia-Ukraine war such a big crisis? Russia-Ukraine war becomes such a big crisis is, see, I'll tell you the prominent imports that we have. In our own country, we have oils like coconut, mustard and all this. But the type of oil that we've been importing from outside are your sunflower oil, your palm oil, certain other oils like your soya bean oil. These are the goods, or these are the kind of oils that we have been importing from outside. Okay. Now, in this case, the sunflower oil got affected when the Russia-Ukraine war happened. Why? Because 80% of the total global trade of sunflower oil is controlled by Russia and Ukraine. They are a major producer of sunflower oil. So when they started fighting, obviously when they are fighting for their sovereignty and independence and all these other big issues, they will not be bothered about, okay, on the side, let's import our sunflower oil or let's export our sunflower oil which is there. So whereby what happened? The sunflower oil production in these countries got affected, the export got affected, and when the export got affected, countries like India got affected. So what is happening when all that export has reduced? When each time the export has reduced, in the entire world, the amount of oil that is available for export started reducing. See, Russia and Ukraine are not giving out any oil. Okay. Because of COVID itself, some trade routes have been closed. Next thing that happened was even worse. The export ban by major exporting countries like Indonesia. Now, Indonesia is one of world's biggest palm oil producers. And in Indonesia, they were having some other agricultural issues. We do not have to be so bothered about it. In Indonesia, they were having some other agricultural issues by which, to protect their own palm oil farmers which are there and the people who are using palm oil in their country, Indonesia said, see, we don't have enough palm oil for our own use. How will we export it to other countries? So we are stopping the export. So Indonesia said that, which means sunflower oil from Russia and Ukraine got affected. Palm oil from Indonesia got affected. Next thing what happened is, there was this, most of the time we were importing soya bean oil from South America. In South America, what happened? because of very bad weather conditions over there, the soybean production or the soybean oil thing which was there, that also got affected. So because of the dry weather, soybean crop was in a very big loss, and because soybean crop was in a big loss, what happened? The oil production from it also got affected. Meaning this soybean oil also, which we were hoping to get from there, got affected. Now imagine this. India, which needed so much of cooking oil, the 3-4 different sources of cooking oil which was there got affected. All the import got affected. Now naturally what is going to happen? There is a shortage of cooking oil in the world. When there is a shortage of cooking oil in the world, gradually what started happening? The price of it started increasing. Is this clear to you how this has happened? When something is in a very shortage mode, you will be, each and every other country will be like, okay, I want cooking oil, you please tell. So earlier cooking oil would have been for 1 liter 100 rupees. Now everybody will, because there is a shortage, countries who are selling cooking oil, a little bit of cooking oil, they'll be like, okay, see, we have only little bit limited stock. So for 1 liter, you give us 200 rupees. Then when other country will come and say, what 200? I will pay 500 rupees for cooking oil. You please send all the cooking oil that you have to my country. So gradually, because of this shortage of cooking oil, the prices started climbing up and up and up. And thereby the oil prices went and it overshot a very big level. Now when oil prices are overshooting a very big level, what happens? So oil's price has increased. Cooking oil's price. Cooking oil, the major source or the major area where cooking oil would be used is what? In creation of food products. It can be your packaged goods. It can be your normal food which is there. In all these areas, what is happening? Oil is being used. Cooking oil is being used. Which means what? When the cooking oil prices started increasing, the entire world started suffering from a food inflation. What is food inflation? Food inflation means that the prices of food products started increasing. Okay, so inflation means increase in price. Food, everything you know. Okay, so because oil, which is a primary component of most of the food items which are there, when the prices of the oil started increasing, naturally the price of the food also started increasing, naturally leading to a food inflation in the world. Is it clear till here to all of you? Perfect. Now, one more point is there, and this I must tell you, in this part when it comes, no, this is somewhere we have to see, just imagine the impact of the policies that we create. The last point which is there. Now, we all know, very not related to all this Indonesia and palm oil and all, let me drive your thought to another area. We know we are being very environmentally conscious right now, right? The petrol, diesel and all, we are trying to phase it out. We don't want to use so much of petrol and diesel. Why? Because it is very polluting for the environment, and on top of it, the petrol and diesel reserves in the world are also running short. Very soon there will not be any oil in the Gulf and the other places. We will not be having enough petrol for consumption, so we need to find other sources to run our vehicles, to run our automobiles and so on. It is in this context there is something called as blending of petrol. Blending of petrol. What is the idea of blending of petrol? Earlier you would be using just pure petroleum which is there. When you blend petrol, what happens is you take some quantity of petrol which is there and you mix it with an other combustible fuel which is there. Okay, you can mix it with any combustible fuel which is of a similar nature of petrol. So much so that why are we doing this? Earlier, if I needed 100 liters, I know you won't need 100 liters of petrol for anything, but I'm just telling you so that you can remember. Earlier, if I needed 100 liters of petrol for some functioning, now I just need maybe 50 liters of petrol. Why? And the rest 50, I will be using some other substitute and using it to burn. Now, one substitute that the world found out was edible oils. So what happened is, adding to all these problems that were already there, in some countries, they took a policy whereby which the edible oils, Malaysia is one country which did that, the edible oils are mixed with petrol. Meaning, so which ideally edible oil was needed for food production. Now edible oil is used also for blending. So now, which means what, an additional new use has come to it, meaning that much more demand started happening for the edible oil. And that also added to the price rise. The reason why I discuss this point separately is because it's quite different from all the other ones. The other ones are all, there is a crisis, oil price increase. Crisis, oil price increase. This is not a crisis. This is a policy that we took, which has led to, or which has added to the price rise. Okay. Now we have seen all the drama of the price rise. Now what has happened? The price has dropped. Now we have to know how this price has dropped. First thing, as a lot of you had first itself said, it is not in the, for example, you are saying Indonesia, they removed the export ban. Now, why did Indonesia remove the export ban? They saw that when it is coming into, there was a lot of pressure on Indonesia in the first place. In all the meetings that were conducted, there was a lot of pressure on Indonesia saying that you please renew back your things which is there. So at this point, the decision by Indonesia to lift the ban of exports in June 22 has slightly improved the global supplies. But then also we know one thing. There were three conditions. South America was there, Russia-Ukraine war was there, Indonesia was there. Indonesia has removed the export ban. So from there, the palm oil that we are getting has resumed. On the other front, when it comes to the sunflower oil, there also some improvement happened, which is what? The export of crude sunflower oil, crude means the one which is in a very impure form, where you can purify it later, okay, from Ukraine have resumed using the Poland land route. So now Ukraine has resumed sending out its oil exports of sunflower. So even that has led to this global shortage being eased in a little bit manner. Adding to all this, the duty cut by the government. What is the central government? Our government, what we did is, we have tried, because see, we ideally need all this oil to come to our country. Earlier, every time when something is exported into our country, okay, we have something imposing on them called as duty. There is something called as export duty. Why? Because see, when some country is exporting oil, we are giving them money, right? So we cannot give. So the idea is that if we are not putting any cut on them, like some kind of a tax on them, they will be happy to keep on exporting because they are getting so much money from us. So the government will impose a small tax on these goods which are getting exported. Sometimes the government imposes bigger tax also, seeing what, for example, if a country is not in very good relations with India, they might impose a little bit more tax on them, little bit more duty. In the case of the edible oil, adding to all these existing conditions, what the government did is to incentivize the exports. It cut short the duty that was there on edible oil. So earlier, if it was like for maybe 10% duty, now the duty has been cut short to 5 or 4%. Thereby, more countries will be saying, how okay, it's better to export into India. When we are exporting into India, we have very less tax to pay to them, very less duty to pay to them. Okay. So because of all these conditions, our situation is slowly improving. And because the oil situation is improving, the global food inflation is also coming down a little bit. Now coming into the point, what is the impact on India for all this? In the case of India, you have to first understand India is the largest consumer of vegetable oil in the world. When I'm saying vegetable oil, it's all these things, okay? All these oils that I told you, palm, soya bean, everything put together, that is the vegetable oil is the one term that you use for it. So your palm oil, your sunflower oil, your soya bean oil, there are certain other oils also which you have something called as the canola oil. all these different types of oil we are very happy to use. So anything, even if the price is rising or the price is dropping, it will have an impact on India. Next thing is impact on food inflation. Again, when cooking oil is increased, how many of you have seen the signboard on hotels? I see it every other time. When cooking oil prices or anything increase, there will be the signboard on hotels saying that we are increasing the price of our food items by 10%. We promise to bring it back when the inflation is less. How many of you have seen the signboard? Yes, only few of you. Yeah, lot of you have seen this. So very often I have seen this board coming up. Now the idea about this board is what? When you have this kind of what you say impact on food inflation, that is where you can cut it short. Or for example, when the price is rising, the burden falls on the restaurant owners. The burden falls on the people who are actually giving out these food producers. So now, because the price is reducing, the impact on the food inflation is also reducing. Next thing, it gives a negative signal to farmers. What is this negative signal? Now, again, I'll tell you the context. India, we keep on importing all this oil. We rarely, or in most of the cases, we have our mustard oil a little bit. We have our coconut oil in a little bit amount. But we do not give a lot of incentivizing for the other oils which are there. Okay. When this global oil prices started increasing, the government announced that, okay, now those farmers who are cultivating oil producing crops, they will be given some extra subsidies and so on. So a lot of farmers started cultivating oil producing goods, seeing in the fact that, okay, when the price is very high, if we are producing these goods, they will also be having that impact of that very high price. Impact in the sense, for example, if an Indian farmer is itself creating the cooking oil and everything, he can also sell it at a global price which is there, right? But then what happened? Price started reducing. When the price started reducing, the farmer is like, now what will I do? I already started making cooking oil, the different kinds of palm oil and sunflower oil and all. Now what will I do? So this sent the price decrease has sent a negative signal to farmers saying that, okay, now you don't indulge so much in cooking oil producing crops which are there. Okay. Finally, more benefit to commercial businesses. Why? Because if you look at it, cooking oil, though it is used in homes, it is your hotels, certain factories which produce these packaged goods, your chips and all these packaged goods which are primarily using a lot of cooking oil which is there. So this is benefit to the commercial businesses. Is this topic clear to all of you? Perfect. When you guys understand the topic, my job is done. Now, before I go into the poll, I have something to share because I saw a lot of you asking me, why are we not using mustard oil? Because mustard oil is in our country only, why are we not using it? Now, the thing over here is, in the case of the mustard oil, what happened in India is, in the time of 1990 period, we were always invested in using our own oil sources, mustard oil, cooking oil, whatever it is, the coconut oil. At this point, there was a huge crisis, a disaster that happened in the Delhi region. The mustard oil, which was given out in the market, happened to be adulterated. Adulterated means it had certain poisonous substances in it, it had certain impurities in it. Several people who consumed that mustard oil died. When this happened, right at the same time, so this is happening in India, right at the same time, countries like Indonesia and Malaysia had started their palm oil producing. So these companies and all, they took that opportunity and they said that, see, if you are using mustard oil, you might even die. We don't know what is going to happen. So they twisted this entire thing in a scenario which said that if you are using mustard oil, it can have health impact on you. And thereby, from that moment onwards, India's entire policy shifted to getting palm oil from outside and not cultivating our own mustard oil and our own crops which are oil rich. And this is the dark story of why we are not, or at some point why we left out on mustard and similar kinds of oil and we started importing from other countries. So when I heard the story, and it just became very shocking. Why? Because this disaster is what even led to a change in perception about what oil we have to import into the country. So I thought I'll share it with you guys because it's an interesting piece of information. Now we are going into the poll question again. Which of the following can be the reasons for the rise in edible oil prices? Question is very clear. For the rise in edible oil prices in the recent months across the world: disruption of supply chains due to Russia-Ukraine war, export ban by major exporting countries, unfavorable weather conditions for oil crops leading to reduced production, diversion of edible oils for blending with petroleum as biofuels. 4 options are there. Now I want you guys to be very careful with your option. Don't be like, okay, I clicked on the wrong one and all that. Just be careful. Let me just launch the poll right now. Okay, you can start marking your answers. You can see a lot of your answers. You can see how a lot of you are saying that uh, we are still consuming mustard oil. See, the idea is mustard oil is still there in the country, but you cannot just say, okay, I am using mustard oil, so mustard oil is going good in the country. This is like saying that, okay, if I am using coconut oil, doesn't mean that the entire country is using coconut oil, right? The idea is that you have a lot of imports. The entire industries in the country, the food industry which is there, the packaged food industry which is there, they all need this cooking oil. Okay, so mustard oil might be used even in households, but a large amount of oil for the industrial purposes and for food industries come from the imports. Okay, guys? Yes, you guys have all marked the answer. I can see 78% of you have marked the answer, which is option D. You can see the leaderboard right now if you want. Let's see. Rohan, Anwar, Bhumika, you all can see your names, no? Kirti, Abhijit, Sumit, Priya. Let's see other names. Cannot see. Okay. Mani, Ushri, Garima, Saurav, Kiran. A lot of names have been listed. I hope those who have marked the answers are happy with it. Now I will finally show you the leaderboard at the end, okay? Because I don't want you guys to get distracted over here. Now we move on to the next topic, which is there. Green technology impact on marine biodiversity. Okay. Guys, first of all, it's answering all questions correct. Then only your name will be there in the leaderboard. Okay. Now coming into this topic, there are 2 terms over here. Green technology, the impact of it on marine biodiversity. Okay. This is the topic that I said, it has a twist. Normally, every other place right now, if you take, you will see green technology is needed, green technology is very good, we need to improve on the green technology. But in this topic, we are going to talk about some disadvantages of certain green technologies. Very recently, there was a study published by a journal which said that based on a technique called as the horizon scanning technique, I will be explaining this to you. So don't start asking me what is the horizon scanning technique. Before you understand horizon scanning technique, you need to understand some other terms. Okay. So first I will explain that to you. Then you will get to the horizon scanning technique. After the horizon scanning technique, it was proven that there is a significant impact on marine biodiversity over the next 5 to 10 years due to green technology. What is marine biodiversity? Marine biodiversity means the type of different species that you will be seeing in your seas, in your oceans, and so on. Then coming about the point, what is green technology? Green technology is any type of technology designed to reduce the negative impact of human activity on the environment. For example, I am having a vehicle. The vehicle is going on polluting the environment because there is combustion and everything. So I am putting some kind of an instrument like a catalytic converter or anything, which is actually reducing the combustion, which not reducing the combustion, which is reducing the emission from the vehicle. That is a green technology. You have something called as your renewable energy resources. That is a green technology. Can you all tell me some examples of green technology that you know? See, around you itself, there are a lot of examples. Green technology need not always be some huge machine which is there. Can be very, very simple things also which are there. Can you think of any simple green technology things that you see around you? Okay, oh my God, lot of you have said solar panel, solar, there's a lot of solar panel, windmill. You guys are all on very technological level. Not, you guys do not know anything simple. Like for example, all this, some industries, they keep saying you shouldn't be using plastic things. You shouldn't be using plastic straws. You should be using paper straws. All this you must have heard, no? Isn't that one kind of a green technology which is there? Because plastic is very, very difficult to be degraded. Okay, so using, instead of plastic, you're using substitutes. That is there. Bamboo plates, cloth bags, hydrogen technology, vermicomposting. Wow, you guys are really, really smart. You've put in a lot of examples over here. Now, the point over here, what has happened, a lot of waste management, everything is here. This study is actually saying some of these green technologies which are there, instead of actually helping to improve the environment, it is causing damage to the environment. And that, my friends, is the twist in this topic. What is this research saying? First thing, okay, the attempt to replace your fossil fuel based plastic with biodegradable polymers. Okay, plastic is what? Plastic is a type of component. You all know the different kind of plastic bags and everything. Now, ideally, they tried replacing plastic with paper. Okay, but then people were not very, very happy with using paper bags and everything. So they tried something else. They tried something called as biodegradable polymers, which means the same type, the chemical composition will be like plastic itself, but it is biodegradable in nature. Okay, so biodegradable means if you put it out there, it will actually decay in a course of time. So what happens, you all must have seen, there is biodegradable plastic bags. If you have, in these dustbins and all, you have certain covers that they put saying that this is biodegradable, this is oxy biodegradable. You see it on the cover which is there. So they use these techniques. This is a green technology, all good. But the research says that these things, if you are taking into a factory and then giving certain conditions to it, then it will degrade in a proper manner. But if you put it in the natural conditions, especially when it is going into conditions like the ocean, maybe if it's in the land, maybe it might degrade in a faster manner. But if these biodegradable polymers, which is a green technology, if it is going into the ocean, it does not degrade in a fast manner. In fact, it does not degrade at all. If it is not degrading at all, what is going to happen? All these biodegradable or so-called biodegradable polymers are going to go into the ocean and become marine litter over there, marine garbage over there. First problem. This is the first problem that they have identified. Second problem that they have identified is, again, all of you, there's a lot of people who have told me about renewable energy technology. One major renewable energy technology which is there is what? Your lithium battery which is there. Especially for electric cars, I think a large majority of you have told basically about what? Your electric cars. Now, if an electric car has to function, you need lithium battery. Now, in the case of lithium battery, what happens is, on the earth there is limited resources of lithium. For example, China has good amount of resources of lithium. Certain countries in the South American region has good resources of lithium. But generally, if you look all around the world, the lithium which you have to use in your electric vehicles to make its batteries are not very easily available. But in your oceans, in your underground, for example, if you have an ocean and in the deep sea part of the ocean which is there, you can very easily find lithium. Which means what? Once people are going on, we all are saying we need electric vehicles, we need electric vehicles. So when the demand of electric vehicles increases, the demand of lithium will increase. When the demand of lithium will increase, people will start going and digging the ocean floor for lithium. And when they start digging the ocean floor for lithium, what is going to happen? All the different organisms which are nearby it, their life will get disturbed. Understand, specifically this lithium is occurring in areas called as brine pools. Brine means salt solutions or extremely high salty areas which are there. So in your ocean itself, you have areas where extremely high salty areas are there, and in those regions what is happening, you will find higher concentrations of lithium. In those same areas, you actually find very exotic species that you do not find in the other parts of the ocean. So now imagine humans are going and digging there for lithium. We are actually disturbing the habitat of these organisms and their biodiversity will suffer. Again, so a green technology like electric vehicle will lead to a loss in marine biodiversity. Is it clear till here right now? Yes, yes. Okay, okay, perfect. Now coming into the last part, and this again is something that you constantly hear. There's so much of push for organic farming. Okay, must have heard you have to use organic fertilizers. All these, this is the trend right now. Now, adding to organic farming, there is something called as organic fish farming, which is there. Meaning, when you are cultivating, even last time you remember we talked about blue revolution and all that. So nowadays what has been said is that even when you're cultivating fish, okay, in the farms and everything, you should be using organic fertilizers, because this is the trend right now. You have to use this, and that is a green technology which is there. Now coming into this, in the oceans there are certain kinds of fishes called as lantern fishes. This is the picture of the lantern fish which is here. These lantern fish you cannot use for human consumption, but it can be used as food for fish farms, and it can be used as a fertilizer, which is what? It is an organic fertilizer. So what happens is, now people in their spree to go and find organic sources, they will try tapping into exotic species like the lantern fish and all, and they will try taking it out of the ocean and using it as organic fertilizers. But the problem is, this lantern fish is one of the major reasons why in the deep end of the ocean, a lot of carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere. For example, whatever carbon dioxide gets dissolved, the lantern fish takes it in. And because of the carbon dioxide that it takes in only, it can illuminate itself like this. Can you see all the light? It looks very pretty here, right? The reason why it is able to put out that light is because it takes in the carbon dioxide. It's one of those animals, like unlike us, we take in oxygen, give out carbon dioxide. Lantern fish takes in carbon dioxide for these lighting activities. Now imagine we are taking this out for organic fish farming. At the ocean level, carbon dioxide will not get dissolved in. Carbon dioxide will get dissolved in, but there will not be any organisms to actually take it in. Thereby meaning what? This is again going to add to the problem of global warming. So on the whole, this green technology has led to, or in the case of marine diversity, at least in this report, they are saying it is going to lead to these problems in the next 5 to 10 years. Now coming into the question, how do they understand all this? Because right now everybody is behind all this. See, if you look at any other newspaper, will they say electric vehicle is bad? No, everyone will be like electric vehicle is the next big thing. You try going for electric vehicle. But now we are hearing this study. And to do the study, what they did is something called as a technique, which is horizon scanning. What is horizon scanning? Horizon scanning means that you have group of researchers, they come together, they take up for example, right now green technology. They took up green technology, which is right now very popular among people. In the horizon scanning technique, what they try to do is, it might not always be evidence based. Right now, they are not getting any proof or any data which is there. They just try to think, okay, you are having lithium, the electric vehicle. You need lithium for it. Based on this lithium, where can you find lithium? In a span of so much years, there will be a lithium shortage. People will start looking for it in the sea. So this is not fully evidence based. Obviously, there is factual correctness in it, but it is not always evidence based. So horizon scanning technique basically means, what is horizon? When you stand at a beach, you will see the horizon over there, no, where the sun, you feel that the sun is going down. Similarly, researchers, what they do is, they look at for example, there is a green technology. They look at the worst possible impact it can create. Why is it called horizon? Because the worst possible impact might not be immediately available to us, or we might not see it immediately. We might see it in the long run. You must have seen, I do not know how many of you have heard this from your mothers. When we are in our college and when we are, in our very active young age, you have mothers coming and telling you, please eat your food on time. Okay. But we rarely listen to it. We rarely listen to it because we are not able to see what is the potential harm of it. 10 years down the line, you will have some kind of an ulcer or some kind of a health issue, and then you will start realizing, okay, I should have eaten my food on time at that point. That is what your mother is basically telling you, using some kind of, she's not using data or anything, based on her intuition, based on the activities she has seen in the past. She's telling you, okay, you please eat your food on time, otherwise it will lead to future defects. This is a very similar technique what these researchers do, where they see or they are detecting early signs of potentially important developments. Okay, and what they do, they will identify the issues that are likely to have important consequences in the next decade. Next decade means in the next 10 years. When you do this kind of a technique, it will help even your normal companies which are there. They will start thinking outside the box. Why? Because, for example, there is this one company right now, their entire business idea is creating biodegradable polymers. Okay. They are very confident. This is the future. We are going to make so much money with it. Now what is happening? You need this kind of a technique to see, okay, after 10 years, maybe people will start realizing that biodegradable polymers are not so great. They're causing a lot of harm and we need to get rid of them. In that case, the company will be in loss, right? So they need to revive it. One example of a previous thing where we have applied this horizon scanning. Have you all heard about microplastics? How many of you have heard about microplastics? How many of you have those face washes and face scrubs and all, which has that small little bit particles which are there? Those are microplastics. Even if you do not know it in a proper manner, this is what is microplastics. Microbeads, microplastics, you can call it anything. Now, when microplastics initially came, when all these different, you remember at a time, all the face washes, all the toothpastes, everything had that component. And everyone was like, see, this will clean your face in a little bit more better manner. Every other cosmetic company, every other, hygiene company was behind it. At that point, a group of these researchers did horizon scanning on microplastics and said, in a span of time, microplastics are going to be the next biggest threat for marine biodiversity which is there. And as you can see today, every other company is trying to run away from microplastics because microplastics are very, very difficult to be degraded. It goes and gets stuck in the gut of these animals and it leads to the death of a lot of marine animals. Similarly, they are doing this for this green technology. In a span of 10 years, we will see the consequences of it. And finally, the point is, horizon scanning operates beyond firm evidence base. It need not always be. For example, if you ask this researcher, can you give me the data on this? They might not have full-fledged data on this at this point. Okay, so it is not based on firm evidence which is there, but relies on instincts of those involved in the exercise. Instincts of those means if they are a group of researchers, they have seen this in the past, they can judge based on that situation, okay, maybe this is going to happen. And that is where you call instincts of those involved in the exercise. Okay. Is the topic and is the aspect of horizon scanning clear to all of you? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, yes, I can see. Now, if you do have any doubts, we have the SMEs who are clearing the doubts. At the end of the session, if it is a very persistent doubt which is there, I will be taking it up. So don't worry. If it's a small point or something, you are always free to put it out. The SMEs will answer your questions. Now, coming into what? Poll question time. With reference to horizon scanning method recently in the news, which of the following statements are correct? It is a technique that seeks to identify issues that are likely to have important consequences in the next decade. It can help ensure that policy making incorporates thinking outside the box. It always relies on a firm evidence base to generate important information. Read the question properly, guys, and mark your answers. Now, first, select the correct answer using the codes given below. There is 1 only, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3. I am launching the poll right now. Just give me a moment. Okay, you can start marking your answers right now. Okay, you guys have marked the right answers. Let me see. 63% of you have marked the right answer, which is C option. What happened to the others? Let's see what went wrong with the others. A lot of you have marked D answer, which is there. What is this? 1, 2. Okay, guys, how is that third option correct? I was going on stressing on the fact that, remember the mother example. Is your mother going to go take clear evidence and everything and put data in front of you when she comes and tells you, okay, you please have food on time, otherwise you might have ulcer? No, the idea is horizon scanning does not rely on firm evidence. The question says it always relies on firm evidence base to generate important information. No, it does not. It is based on the instinct. Instinct means some kind of an intuition, some kind of a feeling of the researchers. So if it is a feeling, how is it based in evidence? Okay, so this is a wrong statement. The other two are correct. The answer to this question is C, 1 and 2 only. I hope those who mark the wrong answers, this is very clear to you at this point. Okay, when it comes to the third point over here, the idea is there is no firm, see, horizon scanning, if there was firm evidence, don't you think this article would have data supporting it? Okay, when there is an increase of 3% of lithium batteries, so much so of marine biodiversity is decreasing. There is no evidence. The idea is they are saying in the future, because of these things, it might happen. It's based on instinct. It is not based on firm evidence. I hope this point is clear to all of you. Okay. Now, coming into, and second option, why did you have a doubt? It can help ensure the policy making incorporates thinking outside the box. Thinking outside the box means what? You are thinking, see, normally if I am having green technology, I will be thinking, okay, green technology can do this, green technology is a need of the hour. Thinking outside the box means even something as good as green technology can also have defects. Thinking outside the box means you are thinking in a creative manner, thinking in a different manner. So when you have techniques like horizon scanning, they will think in a different manner is what that second statement says. Okay, so I hope all of you got that correct. Next we go on to G20. Okay. The reason why we have to discuss G20 is there was a 2-day meeting of G20 foreign ministers which was recently concluded in Bali, Indonesia. Now, the point of the G20 meeting, one of the reasons why I had taken G20 in the first place was because there was a lot of request for this topic in the last session also, and the meeting was also there. So first, let's go into what G20 is. G20 is a strategic multilateral platform. What is a strategic multilateral platform? Strategic means that you are taking very, very important decisions related to the security of nations, related to the borders of nations, and so on. Multilateral means what? You have several countries, several organizations part of it. If you look at it, G20 right now has 19 countries and one organization. Which is that one organization? The one organization is European Union. This is why it is called as a multilateral platform. Multilateral platform means as a member also you have countries and organizations. Even in the organization which is there, you have several bodies. For example, sometimes the foreign ministers will meet. Sometimes the economic ministers will meet. They, in ministers of whom? There are a lot of countries in G20 organization which is there. The economic ministers of those member countries, they will meet. So on different levels, there are discussions happening, and that is why it's called as multilateral platform. They have members from the world's major developed and emerging economies. Unlike G7, G7 is another grouping which has 7 countries over there, and these 7 countries are the world's most industrialized, most developed countries. Okay. G20 is not like that. G20 has both developed countries and emerging economies. Emerging economies means developing countries. Now, the reason why G20 is so important is because in the case of any global economic growth and prosperity, G20 has come together. You have all the major developed and your developing countries. You have India, you have Brazil, you have Russia, you have all the major developing countries, and you also have developed countries like your US and Japan and all. So what happens is, in the case of any kind of economic growth, you will have, or G20 has an important say, or they will, when they come together and meet, they will give out important decisions. Now, it was formed in 1999, and it was formed at the time where this certain areas of East Asia and Southeast Asia. What is East Asia and Southeast Asia? Which are these countries we are talking about? You have Singapore, you have Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, all these countries which are there. They had a very severe financial crisis. When you have very severe financial crisis, what happens is these countries had nobody to help them out. What happened is they were almost all the important organizations of the world. The Western led organizations was like, it is happening in Asia, why should we bother about it? So at that point, these countries started feeling, see, when we are having a crisis, we also need some kind of a grouping of our developing countries which has some close friends among the developed countries only. And that is why right after your financial crisis, you see the formation of this G20. Another important factor is G20 has no fixed headquarters. This is important because most of the other international organizations, you will say, okay, it is headquarters is in Geneva, headquarters is in New York, you would hear. But G20 has no fixed headquarters, and every other time, based on who is organizing the meeting of G20, the secretariat of G20 will be in that country. For example, right now it will be in Indonesia. Why? Because Indonesia has hosted the meeting. Now coming into a very crucial part, what are the member countries of G20? You have to know the member countries of G20. Why? Because UPSC has a soft spot for asking these questions. Let's just very quickly go through it, and it's easy if you remember it in an alphabetical order. Argentina, Australia, Brazil. So look at it, A, B, C. This is how we are going. Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan. Japan is again developed country. Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, UK, USA, and European Union. So if you look at it, in a very prominent manner, some countries that are clearly missing is you do not have countries like Israel in it. Israel is considered to be a very rising power. Israel is not part of it. If you look at the Southeast Asian countries, you will see countries like Indonesia over there. You will see countries like South Korea, but countries like Vietnam is not there. Vietnam went through the economic crisis, but they have not been part of G20. Okay, so on the whole, if you look, you have major powers all being part of it. You have India, Russia, Brazil, all your BRICS members are part of it. This is something which was asked in the last session. All your BRICS members are part of it. BRICS are whom? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Apart from that, you have countries like South Korea, Indonesia, Japan, Mexico, UK, USA. All of them are part of it. Some notable exceptions we have mentioned. And amongst the developed countries, we have Australia also as a very important part. You have France, Germany. So quickly just look through these members. Why? Because when it comes to what you say, UPSC asking questions, they will not ask if one country is a member or not. They will give you several combinations, and you will have to find out which combination has all G20 members. Okay, look through this thing which is here. Now we are going into what is the significance of G20. The significance of G20 lies in the first factor which is there. The entire nations of G20, when it's put together, it is around 80% of the global economic output. Imagine you have EU, USA, Russia, China, or India, which are all the major big countries which are there. So G20, like that, if you look, is one of the most important economic units or economic organizations which is there. Why? Because almost 80% of it, or 80% of the global economic output has, or these countries which form part of G20 are contained within over there. Next, coming into the point of international balance of power. If you look at this, see, you have US over there, you have UK over there. But where was the recent meeting of G20 happening? It was happening in Indonesia. Major decisions of all these countries, if you look at the number of developed countries and the number of developing countries, the developing countries are more in number in G20. Which means what? In the case of this organization, in comparison to organizations like your World Bank and IMF and all, which USA has hijacked basically, this organization is a level playing field. Level playing field means if you're a developing country or a developed country, you have equal say. Because developing countries are more in number, it's more likely that their opinions will be more clearly heard. So for the international balance of power, this becomes important. Next, coming into crisis issues like COVID-19 assistance. Because G20 has both your developed countries like US, which has a major source of all the vaccines of the corona which is there, and you have a lot of developing countries, G20 had a very important role to play in the vaccination of these countries. G20 took a decision which said that we will be vaccinating the entire population of G20 countries by in a span of next 2 years. The entire population of all member countries, that is the G20 countries, they will be fully vaccinated, and they are taking this process up in a very, very good manner. So in the term of any crisis also, this becomes an important thing. Then coming into, and trust me guys, those who are going to write prelims this time, I'm giving you your one sure shot question. Remember this, when you study for prelims, when you see it in your prelims question paper next year on May 28th, remember this. G20 has given this new idea called as data free flow with trust, DFFT. This, because it is so important, I'm telling you, this is a sure shot prelims question. They will ask you what this is. Anything can come. They might, in a very simple manner, they can ask you DFFT is related to which international organization, and they can give you G20, IMF, WEF, UN and ask you, or they can ask the concept of data free flow with trust. Now, when it comes to data free flow with trust, what is the idea? Okay. G20 right now held the meeting in Indonesia. Previously, there was a G20 meeting called as the Osaka Summit. Osaka is a place in Japan. There was a meeting in Japan that happened, and that is why it is called as the Osaka Summit. Summit means meeting. When they met over there, all the G20 countries, they came together and said that, see, right now it is the age of technology, which means at least between all the G20 countries, we should start sharing the data between each other. Now, this idea was brought by the developed countries in G20. You had US, UK, Germany, France and all bringing this idea, saying that why don't we share our data in a good manner? Now, what is the problem with this? The problem with this is, I'll tell you this one example. For example, this US and UK and Germany and all are major pharmaceutical companies in the world, or they have a major amount of pharmaceutical companies. Now, they are saying we should all share our data with each other. Now, all the health data of India saying that, okay, how many cancer patients are there? How many diabetes patients are there? What kind of treatment they are taking? What are the number of AIDS patients over there? All this data, if we are sharing with US, don't you think these countries will try putting more of their, or they will try pushing for more of their pharmaceutical industries in India? This is just one example. Okay. India started seeing that if we are going about and sharing all our data, or the developing country is more likely to be at a disadvantage. Why? Because at that point, these developed countries might misuse this data and try pitching in for more market power in these countries. This is the first issue. The second issue is the idea that, for example, you see in India, to share the data, we have to first collect the data, no? We are not even collecting data in the proper manner. We still have to work on our privacy regulations. What if all this data that we are collecting, a country like maybe Germany or France took it and they have sold it off to someone else, some other corporate which is there? There should be some privacy for the data that is there, right? So in India, we still do not have any privacy laws. So developing countries and all said, we don't want this data free flow. But the core idea of data free flow is you allow the data to flow freely without any restrictions amongst the G20 countries. Meaning, I can get data from Germany. Germany can take the data from India. Maybe from France, I want the data about water management. I can request for that. From here, they want data on health. They can take the data and go. So, free flow of data based on the mutual trust between the countries was this idea. But again, India did not agree to it. Not only India, a lot of developing countries did not agree to it. But nevertheless, this will be asked as a question. Why? Because this is all the buzz that is there. In the next coming summits, India will be hosting the G20 meeting. Which means by the time you guys are going, or you've started writing your mock test for prelims and all that, by then there will be a G20 meeting which India would be hosting. At that point, this thing is going to be discussed in much detail. Why? Because G20 in the last meeting which has happened in Indonesia, they said that in the next meeting we should have a final decision taken on this, which means when your prelims question paper is going to be put, this is going to be there so much in news and this will feature as a question. Is this topic clear to all of you? What is the idea of the different significance of G20? Out of all the significance, the most important significance is data free flow with trust, because this will come as a question. Perfect. Now we go into, I'm telling you guys, this is a difficult question. This is a little bit of a, in cricket we say, no, googly type of ball which is there. You just look at this. Which one of the following options includes the correct set of countries that are part of G20? Which was recently in news? Which was recently in the news? G20 was recently in the news. Which is the group of countries? Look carefully and mark the answers. First option is India, Canada, Israel, France, Brazil. Next is China, Argentina, Italy, Mexico, Germany. Third is Turkey, South Korea, India, Indonesia, Vietnam. Fourth option is Australia, Saudi Arabia, Austria, Russia, Japan. Okay. I'm going to launch the poll. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a toughie. Let's see how many of you mark the correct answer. Okay, start marking the answers, guys. I'm seeing your answers here. I want to tell you guys, read the question properly to some of you, but then yeah, some of you are marking the right answer also, so good. Okay. Oh, this is quite impressive, guys. I was expecting the numbers to be like around maybe 30% of you will mark the right answer. 70% of you have marked the right answer. Either you guys have really good memory, or those techniques that I told you about, the important countries which are not there, you might have used in elimination. 70% of you have marked the right answer, which is option B. Okay. Now let's see why it is option B. In the first one, which is the odd one out, India is there, Canada is there, France is there, Brazil is there, Israel not there. Okay. Third one, which is the one, you have Turkey, South Korea, Indonesia, India, which is not there, Vietnam. Fourth option, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Austria, Russia, Japan, which is not there, Austria. Okay. So now when I am going over here, which is the answer that is going to be there, China, Argentina, Italy, Mexico, Germany. This is your answer. See, always, and this is a tip I'm telling you, when you have an organization which is like very big and you have to study, like in this case, you have to remember almost, is it easier to remember 19 countries, or is it easier to remember which are the prominent countries which are missing from the list? So I always follow that technique. If there are a lot of countries I have to memorize, I don't have so much of time to sit and study all the 19 countries. I study the countries which are not there. I remember that, okay, Israel is not there, Vietnam is not there. Austria and all is a normal guess, because Austria is not a country that anybody, like, you know, for example, it is not considered like a major developed country, nor is it like a developing country. It's not commonly there in international relations. But you look at all the other countries which are given over there, it commonly comes in international relation news which is there. Okay, barring that, when you look at it, okay, you will remember, okay, Israel is there, Vietnam is not there. These are all prominent countries. That way you can eliminate and get the answer. Okay, some of you asked me to the concept of data free flow with trust. What is the idea of it? Just very briefly, I'll mention it again. See, the idea about sorry for the inconvenience. When it comes to data free flow with trust, let's break that word. Data free flow with trust. The idea is, between all the G20 members, they will allow very easy exchange of data. Data will be allowed to be exchanged in a very free manner. Free in the sense there will not be any restrictions. For example, if Germany is asking for health data from India, India cannot be like, okay, no, I cannot give my health data. If you want, I can give you my fisheries data. That is not possible. Germany, if it's asking, if we are part of that agreement, we have to exchange our data in a good manner, in a free manner, and this is done on the basis of trust. On the basis of trust in the sense that we believe, okay, Germany will not misuse this data, and Germany believes, okay, we will not misuse this data. This is the idea of data free flow with trust. India does not agree to it because India feels that at some point these developed countries might not treat us with full trust. Okay, so now let's coming into the last topic. This is when I read this topic, I was like very excited to share it with you guys. So now there is something called as red weaver ant chutney. Okay, now this is now, it is happening there, or this kind of product is there in Odisha region, which is there, and they have applied for a GI tag. Now I know all of you would want to know what a GI tag is. We'll come to that. First, understand the context. The context is, recently Mayurbhanj district of Odisha has applied for the geographical indications tag for kai chutney under the food category. Okay, now what is this kai chutney and what exactly is the components of it? This kai chutney or kai is basically the term used for these red ants. How many of you have seen those ants which they come and bite? It's red in color. I'll just show you the picture of it. These ants, you have it biting and it stings so badly. This is a kind of, this ant is called as weaver ants. How many of you, I won't ask how many of you have seen it, how many of you have ever gotten bitten by it? Yes. A lot of you have. Yeah, we all, if we've been here, if we've been playing in the fields and all that, you would have seen this ant. Now, the weaver ant is the kind of, or this is it's called weaver ant because it creates a different type of nest and all that. Now, our current affair basically surrounds on the fact that in the Mayurbhanj area, certain tribes which occur over there make a certain type of food product with this ant. They try to take this ant and they have converted it into a type of chutney which is there. And this is called as the kai ant chutney. Kai is basically the term for the weaver ant. In the local terminology, the weaver, this red ant is called as kai. Okay, so kai ant chutney is created from this. Now, you must be wondering, why do we have to discuss about this? The reason why we have to discuss about this is, first of all, UPSC has a soft spot for GI tag products. In the course of time, when this ant chutney will get the GI tag, what is going to happen is UPSC will come about this question. If you are not familiar with it, you will be thinking, what ant and chutney? You might not even understand that term in a proper manner. That is one important thing. Next important thing, I can see a lot of you had mentioned this over here as to the idea of eating insects. When insects get eaten, the new finding which is over here is that it's not a new finding, it's already always traditionally been there, but now there is a lot of importance being given that you can use these insect food products as a source of protein. And now this is gaining so much of importance in a lot of societies which is there. And that is also an importance of it. So to understand this, first, let me just tell you, because I know a lot of you would be like, okay, what is this GI tag in the first place? GI tag is otherwise called as a geographical indication. GI, geographical indication, which means that this is specific to a very specific area. For example, only in the Mayurbhanj area where these tribes are occurring will you see this kai and chutney that is there, if it is given GI tag. For example, the Tirupati Laddu. You all know, how many of you know about the Tirupati Laddu which is there? This is basically a type of sweet that is produced in the Tirupati temple which is there. Now, Tirupati Laddu you will not find in another temple which is there in Himachal or which is there in Madhya Pradesh or any other place. It will be there only in Tirupati temple. Okay. Now, the idea is, it is very, why is it only there? Because it might be made from some produce that is very, very unique to that area. Okay, there must be something special about it which makes it very unique in that area. So, when you have a unique product, you can apply for a GI tag, a geographical indication tag. Once you get the GI tag, now for example, the Tirupati Laddu has GI tag. So nearby, if I am selling, saying that, okay, I am also making Tirupati Laddu only and I am selling some Laddu, saying that this has GI tag, that will be not right. Why? Because the Tirupati Laddu, which is available from the Tirupati temple, has the GI tag. Not some random laddu maker making laddu. He cannot say, this is also Tirupati laddu. It is tasting exactly like that. You please consume it, means that that product will not have the GI tag. So the idea is basically, this geographical indication is specific to a specific area. It is given for agricultural, natural, industrial items, food producers, which is there. I'm pretty sure whenever you guys, after all this prelims and mains, and you start preparing for your interview, right? At that point, one of the questions that you will obviously prepare is, okay, if you are from certain state, what are the producers that have got GI tag in your state? You will have to study in depth about it, because interviewer will ask questions. So this is so much of pride for these states, because why? You are getting it based on some unique feature which is over there. The commodities must be manufactured, processed, or prepared in that area. For example, there is this pineapple that is produced in a specific area in Kerala called as Vazhakulam pineapple. Vazhakulam pineapple, you will not find pineapple, you might find anywhere else, but Vazhakulam pineapple with a certain taste, quality and certain amount of features, you will find only there. And that is why it will get a GI tag. Similarly, so now in Mayurbhanj area, Mayurbhanj district, which is there in Odisha, they are going to apply for a GI tag of the weaver and chutney, which is there. Now, why is it so important for us to understand this? The weaver and chutney, which is there, is an ample source for proteins, vitamins, calcium, zinc, vitamin B12, iron, magnesium, potassium, sodium, copper, fiber, and 18 amino acids. This is like having one of those magic pills which will give you all the kind of different proteins. Okay, proteins, not only proteins, vitamins, sodium, copper, a lot of minerals, lot of vitamins, all that you get from this kai chutney which is there. It is also known for boosting the immune system. So again, it got so much of importance at the time of this corona time, when people were going on, you remember, we would have done anything to prevent corona. Someone would say, okay, you have to have turmeric with honey, have it 3 times. Somebody would say, you take neem leaves and you sleep in it. Every other solution we would have tried. At this point, kai chutney was gaining so much of popularity. Why? Because it is known for boosting the immune system and keeping diseases away. It is normally prepared by mixing certain other local ingredients like salt, ginger, garlic, and it is sold by the tribals in the rural market. Okay, so what happens is, even in the case, look at all the diseases it can cure. It can cure flu, common cold, whooping cough, to increase appetite, improve the vision, eyesight naturally can be improved without any corrective wear. Means if I go and eat this, then I do not have to wear all the specs and all that. I can improve all on my eyesight also, and to treat joint pains and stomach diseases. So this is like a multifunctional thing which is there. Now, in adding to this, the idea has come about, and the idea is basically entomophagy. Entomophagy or entomophagy, you can read it in any manner. What is the word? The idea is, it is the practice of consumption of insects as a source of nutrition by humans. Okay. This word is called entomophagy. Entomo till here means insects. Phagy means eating. You consume it. Okay, so this is a scientific word. Now, the reason why we are even discussing it is because this is so important when it comes to a country like India, where we have certain food security issues. What is our food security issues? We have enough of rice and wheat and everything for everyone, but the problem is we have nutrient deficiency. Meaning the rice and wheat and everything that we are eating will give you certain nutrients. It might give you vitamin B12, it might give you amino acids, but it is not able to give you all the other minerals which is there. Which means in the poorer areas of the society which is there, or the poorer communities of the society, they do not get enough nutrients. Now, maybe if you're rich enough, you can afford to have chicken and meat and egg and everything that to improve your proteins. But how is it possible for lot of people in India to afford all these things? These are very pricey items for people who are daily wage earners, for people who are living below poverty lines. So in this point, what has happened is the ever increasing need for protein and meat can now be substituted with these kind of producers. Next thing is, in India there is a lot of importance given to what? Animal husbandry. Animal husbandry means rearing of cows, sheep, goats, so on. Now, because there is so much of importance given to animal husbandry, what happens? You must have also heard these cows, sheep, and all these other poultry and livestock and everything that we put like this are also creating a lot of global warming emissions. Has anyone, or how many of you know this fact? From your cows, from your buffaloes, from all these organisms which is there, from your hens, cocks, and all these different birds which are there, there is a lot of methane gas emissions. Methane will lead to global warming which is there. So now what has happened is, now the idea is maybe we can shift to insect farming, which might not lead to all these methane emissions which are there, and it will also reduce the pressure on animal husbandry. Next thing, it will also, the same point, in addition to the same point, it will help produce less amounts of greenhouse gases and ammonia, thereby leading to an environmentally friendly agriculture technique. So on the whole, the idea is, through these techniques or through these different kinds of eating things that we have, this is going to lead to a situation where we have enough of proteins. We do not have to depend on meat always, or these, for example, the beef and the chicken and everything. You can get your protein source even from these organisms. This will be a good substitute for proteins which are there. So this is the idea of kai chutney and the red weaver ant and so on. Now, I just wanted to share this with you guys. So you must be thinking, and I saw a lot of responses as to, wow, we didn't know about this. But the fact is, look at all these pictures in India, especially if you look in the eastern and the northeastern states which are there, insects have always been used as a staple source of protein and staple source of food. If you look at it, there are meals. Look in this picture, if you have meals prepared with insects. You have in your Guwahati area, you have silkworms. Assam and those areas are very, very known, very well popular for the silkworms and the silk production and all that. You have an entire market where you can buy these insects for consumption. Okay, so this is not a new trend in India or anything. This has been there. This has been there not only among the tribal population, even among the the mainland population which is there. You see these cultures existing, and it is very important from a food security point of view also. Okay, so now I hope this topic has been clear to all of you. Is this topic clear to all of you? It's a very simple and very interesting topic, so I don't think you might have a lot of confusion in this. Okay, perfect. Now we go on to the question. With reference to entomophagy, recently in the news, consider the following statements. It is the practice of consumption of insects as a source of nutrition by humans. Kai chutney, prepared from the red weaver ants, is consumed in the state of Odisha in India. Okay, which of the statements given above is or are incorrect? Note that word, guys. The question is about incorrect. I'm going to launch the poll. Okay, start marking your answers. Okay, let's see. You have all marked the answer. Okay, you all have been very careful. Let me just show the leaderboard right away. Otherwise, it's going to be, again, like last session, I forgot to show you the leaderboard. Okay, let's see. Rohan, Anwar, Bhumika, Anurag, Nandini. I can see all your names over here. Alish, Vishnu, Kundan, Mayank. I'm not, see guys, it's practically impossible for me to read all the names. I'm just reading names which are coming in my view. Okay, so don't take an offense saying that, okay, you have not read out my name. Okay, you all are much more mature than that to understand. Mayank, Alfred, Chetan, Sudarshan, Rutuja, Vijay. Okay, all those who managed to get your all the 5 questions, well done guys. Now those who got any question wrong based on your carelessness, just remember, see, this is not the end of it. Every other learning is an important experience for you to finally correct your mistakes and then go forward to for your UPSC exam and correct it on that day of the exam. What you write is what matters at the most. Okay, so congrats to all those who came on the leaderboard, and those who got any mistakes, don't worry, there's still time for correction that is possible. Now at this point, I think I can start taking some of your questions which are there. Okay. Okay, in the course of time, some, I think few of you had asked me how to prepare current affair notes. Okay, I'll take this thing. Are you guys here? Do you want to get some information as to make how to make current affair notes? If you want, can you just let me know so I can tell you this? Okay, see, let's take these 5 current affairs which is there. The last current affair, GI tag. What will you make a note on it? That will never come as a mains question. That will never ever come as a mains question for UPSC, because UPSC has much more core issues to be asking as mains questions which is there. But it can come as a prelims question. So if I were to make the note, I will show you if I came across that current affair and I am making a note in my notebook. In the first place, in my notebook, I will have a section called as miscellaneous. Miscellaneous means what? Anything that I cannot fit into any of these different categories, I will be putting under the category of miscellaneous. There, I will be writing it like this. You can just check this out. GI tag, weaver and chutney. Odisha. Next thing, source of protein immunity. I don't have space over here, that is why I've written like 2 lines, but this will be just a 1-line note in my prelims point of view. Okay, that is that last current affair. Now, the G21, not G21, G20 current affair. In the G20 current affair, how will I make the note? G20 will be important both from prelims point of view and the mains point of view. So what I will do is, in my prelims note that I'm maintaining for this thing, I will have a section called as IR, International Relations. There I will go and I will write some basic details. G20, 19 countries plus 1 organization. Then I told you very clearly, data free flow with trust is going to come as a question. Next point I will write DFFT, or if I'm the kind of person who does not remember full forms, I will write over there data free flow with trust. I will write that entire thing over there. Then if I'm saying maybe some point, see what points am I writing over here? You must be wondering, it's not random points. Me as a person will know that some points I will remember for sure, some points I will forget in the course of preparation. For example, do I have to write G20's international organization? No need. Why? Because I know G20 is international organization. Do I have to write it is focusing on economy? No need, because I know this has industrialized countries and developing countries. Obviously, they will be focusing on economy. So you don't have to write something that is so obvious to you in your note. That you will remember even as the preparation goes by. But certain factual details, for example, there is no secretariat for G20. There are 19 countries which are over there. In the 19 countries, for example, certain countries like Israel and Vietnam and all are not there. This and all you will have to remember. So I will just write the factual details which I am likely to forget in my prelims notes. Okay. Now coming in for that same question, if I wanted to make a mains note, how will I be doing it? For the mains note, what I will be doing is, I will have in that IR, for maybe I am having a notebook for IR, I will have a section called as G20. In G20, first thing I will, under that different subheadings I can create. Significance, issues, way forward. Meaning, over my 1 year of preparation, I will come across several current affair discussions, several kinds of news articles where, for example, after listening today's discussion, you have 4 points under the significance. Okay. Now, maybe in some other class, or maybe when you study international relations, you will come across the issues with G20. So that you can write it over there. Or if you're very inquisitive, today itself, you can go online, you can check what G20 is. Obviously, there will be our own material itself which says what are the different issues, what are the way forward. So you can update that mains note of yours today itself. Is this clear to all of you? I won't be taking all the 5 things, but you get the gist of it, right? So based on these 2 things, you see if you, and how will you know if that is a prelims oriented current affair or a mains oriented current affair? Most of the time when the session is taken itself, the teacher will tell you, because this is a prelims angle, there is a mains angle to it. Now, if the teacher is not telling also, for you to be self-empowered with it, what you can do is go through past UPSC question papers, both prelims and mains. If you are seeing international organization related questions, so you know, okay, this question can be asked from a prelims point of view. So you try to extract that and you write notes on it. So I hope you guys will do this. I am hoping you guys will be doing all the notes which are, making these notes based on this idea which is there. Next question. Let's see if any other questions are there from your end. Most of you have concerns about the leaderboard. Do you have questions regarding the content which is there in the session or anything like that? So this is a time where I can, okay, let's see. Okay, Vikram has asked, what are the benefits of getting GI tag? Okay, there are a lot of benefits in the aspect of economy and tourism. For example, if a tourist is coming to Odisha, they will be shown or they will be seen that okay, when a GI tag is given, this is known to all the people. Okay, so when they come over, these people will be like, okay, see, in our state there is GI tag for these and these things, so they'll be like, oh, okay, fine, so we have to taste it, we have to go and buy it. Which means what? The trading people or the craftsmen or the people who are involved in the cultivation of all these things, they will be benefited. Their money, they will have better income. So getting a GI tag is a boost for a certain area, and it is also a boost for the economy of the people involved in it. Okay, Vikram? Next question. Bharat has asked, is GI tag like patent? See, no. There are different. You cannot say patent is for anything very, totally out of the blue, which is there. You are creating something very innovative. GI tag you get based on the geographical criteria over here. These are two different types of, these are all coming under the larger head of intellectual property rights or the intellectual property which is there, and that is the only similarity between them. GI tag is not similar to patent because patent is for a new innovation that you do with your own whatever kind of creativity and everything which is there. Okay, so patent is not similar to that. Somebody has asked, is only food under GI tag? No, not only food. For example, there is some, see, I am more well versed with the products that I know. So there is something called as Aranmula Kannadi, which is an Aranmula mirror, which is there in Kerala. Okay, so this is, it is not a food item. It is based on a technique of making a mirror, which is very, very unique to a specific area. And you have this there in Kerala. So it's not just food. It is different kinds of products which can be there. The idea is it is unique to that geographical area. Okay, yeah, a lot of you also are saying there is GI saffron which is there in Kashmir, the Dindigul lock which is there, and so on. Okay, let's see. Okay, some of you are asking, can you mention what is anticipatory bail? Okay, the first topic. Now, again, coming into the question of bail, we're going into that first topic, guys. In the question of bail, at times I told you what is bail, what is the idea of bail which is there. Now, if I'm having a certain offense which is committed, okay, and I know for a fact, okay, for example, there is a murder investigation, or not a murder, let's say there is a robbery investigation going on. Okay, now for some reason I know maybe I might be involved in it, or I do know for a fact that this investigation, because maybe when the robbery happened, a bank has been robbed. Okay, you are the security or who was there at that bank, and everybody is now looking at you and thinking, he might be someone who did something in this. Okay, at this point I know in the future, in the coming days, I will be arrested for this, or I will be taken into jail for this. Not taken into jail, I will be the one they are blaming for. So what I do is I ask the court, my arrest has not yet happened. Normally you apply for bail after the arrest has happened. Here, even before the arrest has happened, I am applying to the court saying that you please give me an anticipatory bail because I feel I might get arrested. So if the court feels okay, there are certain conditions which you are, you are feeling, you feel that you are not guilty, but still you might be arrested for this, then the court will grant you anticipatory bail, meaning they cannot come and arrest you at that point. Okay, is that clear to all of you? Nivedita has asked, ma'am, who gives bail? The bail in all the cases is given by the courts. It can start from the district magistrate to the High Court, Supreme Court, any court. Judiciary has to give the bail. Okay. What is the requirement of interim bail? Okay, interim bail is required in situations where, for example, and this is most of the cases, what is going to happen is, see, in Indian judiciary, there is a unknown, or this is not something that is said out publicly, but there is an implicit saying that most of the times, if I am involved in a crime and there is another person who does not, for example, I'm not involved in a crime, but there's another person who wants to frame me for a crime. What has to be done is, if you have enough of any kind of might which is there, you can keep on extending the case. Why? Because you might not show up for the hearing, you might keep on extending the case forever. Okay, now at this point what happens is, the court needs time to review your bail, or to see that, for example, a regular bail is what? You will be arrested, you will apply for bail, you might get the bail, you might not get the bail, but that bail comes with certain conditions. It comes with certain conditions, and it will be for a longer period of time. Now at this point you are feeling your case is going to get extended for a really long time, but at this point the court has not reviewed all the evidence related to it. They have not reviewed the case in a proper manner, but they feel that, okay, this person, eventually we can go to a regular bail. Right now let's grant him a immediate interim bail, meaning for a short period of time they will give a bail, and the court will buy some time. Buy in the sense, it will take some time to review all the evidence. At that point they might cancel the interim bail. Once they have seen that, okay, there is enough scope for giving a regular bail, they will cancel the interim bail and grant him a regular bail. Otherwise what they will do is, they will cancel the interim bail, and if they have to be taken in for custody, they will go forward in that direction. So the requirement is basically, the court, if it is having a lot of cases to judge on, it might not have looked into this on a proper basis, but the bail has to be granted on proper basis itself, right? So it is taking some more extra time to look into the case to grant a regular bail. In the intermediate time, it will give an interim bail. Is this clear to a lot of you had asked this question, so I hope it's clear. What is the difference between CRPC and IPC? Naresh has asked. There is no, this basically, the idea of Indian Penal Code and Criminal Procedure Code is, it deals with certain kinds of offences. It's not a clear-cut differences which is there. It deals with certain kinds of offences. You have a British given legacy with both of these systems which are there. So it is not so much as a difference, you can say. Both of these deal with certain offences, the bail procedures for it, the punishments for it, and so on. Okay. Manish has asked, not Manish, Ashmi has asked, ma'am, how to know what to read and what to skip in books and newspapers? Ashmi, that is the peril of a UPSC aspirant. You will get to know that only after one round. You will have to read everything. After your one round of reading, then when you are exposed to all this current affairs and everything, then you will start analyzing, okay, I don't need so much of this. One very good way to understand what you have to read and what you don't have to read is, look into past UPSC questions. If, for example, you're looking into the mains question paper, and you're seeing world history is being asked only very less questions, then you will not spend one entire 1 month sitting and making extensive notes on world history. You will just make the notes which is requisite given the number of questions which is there. Understand? So this will help you to understand. So look into the past year questions to understand this. Okay. Lipika has asked, methane is called biogas. How does it have greenhouse effect? Lipika, in environment, you would be studying this. Methane is basically a kind of gas which can trap heat. Okay, trap heat. For example, you have carbon dioxide, right? Carbon dioxide is something which is all around us. What does carbon dioxide do? When the sun's heat comes into the earth, carbon dioxide has the capability, or the carbon dioxide molecules have the capability to trap the heat. Similarly, methane has that ability to trap the heat, thereby causing overall increase. If there is more methane in the atmosphere, more trapping of heat. More trapping of heat means what? Global warming will happen. Okay, Lipika? You guys have asked me, is there any acronym to learn G20 countries? There is no acronym or anything. In most of these big, large groupings which are there, one technique that I have used is to see which I can eliminate, because how can you study 19 countries? In fact, what is the point of studying all the 19 countries? But when at some point when I teach you all the literal states, for example, your state countries around the Red Sea, countries around the Caspian Sea, and all these different seas which are there are a lot of acronyms for that, because there are like 4 countries, 5 countries, easier to remember. But for 19 countries and all, you cannot make this entire acronym which is there. At least I haven't used acronyms. I know in the out there would be acronyms out there, but I have not used acronyms, because for me, I find it much more efficient to remember which countries might not be there, the prominent ones which are not there, because UPSC will ask a question focusing on those countries alone. Understand? So I think I think I have seen most of your questions over here. Uh, you are asking me about a lot of issues which we have not even touched in today's topics which are there, and you're asking my opinion. So that is not the point. Is if you are not clear on any of the topics, is where I can help you out. Okay, so I think most of the queries regarding the actual topics have been cleared in on the whole. I hope you guys had a very productive session. Because even from the topics that I've chosen, I hope it was interesting for you guys. I hope all of you are making notes of current affairs. Utilize these sessions from the beginning. Don't think that, okay, I will start making notes once all the current affair webinars are over. 3-4 months before the prelims, I will take up some magazine or anything and I will learn all my current affairs. That will not work. Why do you have to do that when you can do it on a daily basis and get it over with and write your answers also? So until I meet you guys next time, take care, stay safe. There's all this corona thing going on around again and again. So stay safe, guys. And until we meet next time, happy learning.